Good evening, everyone. It's Thursday and it's 8:30. It's Off the Leash, Neptune's talk show where we spend some time chatting with members of the arts community from around I'm going to say the country right now, but sometimes the world. I don't know. And we have a chat. And tonight is a very special night. I've spent so much of my life. In fact, I worked it out. It's probably about a year and a half of my life involved with the musical Beauty and the Beast. I've been in it 3 different times, twice at Neptune over the decades, and also in Niagara Falls. And then I directed it up at the Savoy Theatre in Cape Breton not so long ago. It's a show that's near and dear to my heart. And I think the success of that show can be attributed to many things, usually the candle and the clock. But sometimes there are other characters that get a look in. I mean, should it be called Beauty and the Clock? Yeah, I think so. But it isn't. So tonight, we've scoured the countryside and we've found them. Bells under every rock, in every corner of the country. And we're going to be joined by a number of them in studio right now. And we'll be chatting to some others as well. So please join me in welcoming, very exciting, 4 bells in one place. Let's bring them into the studio and say hello. All of these people have played Belle in Beauty and the Beast, sometimes many, many times. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Look at you all. Oh, my goodness. And I've been joking all day on social media that it's a peal of bells, spelled P-E-A-L. I've been corrected by Mary Lou Martin already. It's great to have you here. How are you?
So good. Warm. Great. Feels like summer.
Yes, the sun.
Yeah, it kind of is.
I love that the sun's still shining. Like it's so amazing.
Julie, when this pandemic loosens its grip on society, other than your immediate family that you're living with or getting to see in a bubble right now, who's the first extraneous person that you're going to grip in a big old bear hug?
Well, it's crazy that you said that because I just missed my nephew's 10th birthday.
Oh,
he's in Halifax, and I had planned on being out there, but you can imagine as soon as they open the border and as soon as this pandemic is in the rear view, I'm going to be out there.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
What's his name? Who just had the birthday?
Sloan. You met Sloan.
I met Sloan. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I knew which one. Happy birthday, Sloan.
Happy birthday, Sloan. I'm sure Janice and Mom and Dad are watching this. So hi, guys.
Hi, everyone. That's awesome. Vanessa, what about you? Who's the first person you're going to give a big old hug to?
Oh, I'm going to be kissing strangers on the street, man. I am such deprived. No, I went and tried to visit my grandmother on Mother's Day. Well, I mean, I did visit her, but it was a socially distant visit. And it was so heartbreaking because she just kept saying, like, "What? Come in. Why can't you come in?"
Oh.
So I think I will drive back up to Barrie and give her the biggest hug, and Grandpa and everybody.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of videos on social media in the last week of people that have created hugging plastic barriers on their front lawn for grandparents to hug their grandchildren. And every time I see one, I burst into tears because it's so clever and so lovely to watch the joy of those hugs. And then have you seen the surprise ones where suddenly the grandparents find out that they're in the bubble that is allowed? And so the 2-family bubble that some I don't know.
I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen that next level.
Oh, have you not had that in Ontario yet?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're allowed to now bubble with another section of your immediate family. So, for example, in our family, Melissa's parents are now part of our bubble, so they can come visit. We can go visit them, and it's all bets are off. It's great. But some people, of course, are surprising their aged relatives with this news by going for a distance wave and then saying, "You're in our bubble."
So sweet.
Ellen, what about you? Who are you gonna bring into your bubble when that's allowed?
I mean, I think I'll get back down to London and see my mom and dad as soon as I can. Yeah. But I also have had a lot of friends have babies during this. So I look forward to some cuddles of those little beings that have been welcomed to the COVID world once we're allowed to be close.
There's going to be a big COVID surge in 9 months' time.
Yeah.
Well, actually, now it'd be 7 months' time. I wonder if there's a surge in sales of pregnancy tests in the last month or so. Anyway, I digress. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
On that note, sorry. Who are you gonna bring into your bubble or give a big hug to when you can?
Well, first and foremost, on that last note, I think there's probably going to be a surge of babies in 9 months and a surge of divorces. Just saying. I mean, we're good over here, but I'm just saying. Yeah. A lot of time at your house. I'm definitely, I just can't wait to get on a plane and get back to Dartmouth and hug my mom. I know she's watching. Hi, Elaine. Ever since my dad passed 6 years ago, she's been living on her own. And this past weekend, my mom was admitted into my sister's bubble. So my mom went out to my sister's house in Fall River and said it was the first time that she felt human skin next to hers. And
you know, because of the theme of the show we're doing, as soon as you said the word human, I started humming human again in my head. I can't shake this show. Okay, let's get onto that. So you've all played the same role. You've joined a very exclusive, not small, but exclusive group of powerful performers who have played this role. Julie, you played it at Neptune.
I did.
In 2008, something like that.
Something
like that.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. And Ellen, you played it at Neptune more recently in 2016. Karen, what about you? Now, because you know, I did a little research, and I kind of think that you might be the actor that's performed this role in the most number of productions. How many times have you done it?
Well, it actually started even before I mentioned the ones to you. It actually started back when I was 19. We did Beauty and the Feast at Halifax Feast Dinner Theatre.
Whoa! You see what you did there?
Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, I got to do it with Drayton Entertainment at 2 of their different theaters, with the Grand Theatre in London. I love the hand-painted ceilings. Actually, it worked in that line of the play because we were like, look at the hand-painted ceilings. On Disney Cruise Line, or there's me on Disney Cruise Line, and as well with Silver Mist Productions. Look how huge that beast was. I don't know if you can see that beast there.
Yeah.
Oh!
That beast is a beast.
Yeah.
That, you know,
I saw the grand production, and she was awesome.
Aww.
Karen was amazing. She was an amazing Belle. Amazing.
Thanks. And I saw Julie perform, and Julie was so full of joy as Belle, and you as Cogsworth, obviously, like perfect.
Yeah. Julie had her moment.
Oh my. Rachel. Oh,
There we go. We got lots of photos. For folks watching at home, I was saying to our guests, who are being my guests, see what I did, that usually I have photos at a little thumbnail thing down the side of the screen here, and I can usually pick out the photo with a little glance that I want to throw to. But here, with all 4 of them sending in photos of them in the same colored dresses, it's really hard. So I may end up bringing up the wrong photo at some point. I want the audience that are watching to know that they can ask a question should they want to. Oh, here we go. Naswal is
settle down. Oh, Lord. Double bubble. We're about to get rowdy.
Yeah. So do feel free, folks, to ask these bells a question. We have a bunch. We also have some videos to throw to. Vanessa, where did you tell us the story about your foray into the world of Beauty and the Beast?
It was amazing. I was 16. It was my first like big show, i.e. show outside of like my high school. It was community theater. I didn't play the role professionally, but it was the role that the role and like the production and the people that made me think I might actually want to pursue theater profession. Oh my God, look at that. That good community theater, like heavy white eye makeup, like who knows why. It was, yeah, just like such an amazing community and such an amazing time.
Yeah.
It was just
That's great. I look forward. I want to hear what happened following those performances and work out what playing Belle did to all of your careers. I think it was all positive for everyone. But first thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to throw to we've managed to get in contact with a whole bunch of Belles, and so there's a little series of videos that I'm going to play during the course of the show. So here is the first one.
Belle was so amazing and so special. It has always been a dream of mine to play a Disney princess, and I know it's cheesy, but it's true.
To play Belle, it's a responsibility, it's an honor, it's a challenge, it's exhausting.
It was an absolute joy seeing all the little boys and girls stand up at the end of the show wearing their Belle dresses is the greatest thing in the world.
I loved playing Belle. It meant so much to me is because it was the first time I was ever in a show at Neptune Theatre.
It meant the world playing Belle. I mean, it was my favorite Disney story growing up. I mean, even my prom dress was yellow.
She was the role that got me back into musical theater. I had kind of given up on really any aspects of theater. And then this role came along, this role I've always wanted to play, and I took it.
I think she was one of the first heroines that I saw in an animated film. It made it cool to read and to like books and to want more.
On that cruise ship, what was so cool about that is that there were people from all over the world, kids from every kind of culture and upbringing, and they all just loved these Disney princesses.
Playing Belle was quite literally transformative.
Getting to play Belle was really one of my childhood dreams. She's always been my favorite Disney princess of all time, and that has not changed.
Playing Belle is the most fun ever because you walk on stage and the entire audience is pretty much already prepared to love you. And it is an incredible ride.
An incredible ride. I also just want to give props to Gabby Epstein's costume designer. That was the biggest of all the dresses. Like, wow, amazing.
It was actually, because I wore the same dress, it was 20 pounds and there
oh,
was
wow.
solid gold in it.
I've heard those Disney costume budgets are pretty big.
And you are Disney, like the sky's the limit, right?
$1,000 for that dress or something.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
Okay, let me ask this question. With a role like this that is so iconic, I guess, is there a lot of additional pressure to play a role like a Disney? I mean, is she a Disney princess? Is she officially a Disney princess?
Yeah,
I guess so.
She's princess.
Oh yeah, she's a prince. See, I don't know because I never read that bit.
In the wings, having a time.
I was up over there with the candle. But okay, so So is there additional pressure? And do you do any extra preparation to prepare for that kind of scrutiny? Julie, what about you?
Yeah, two things. So there was definitely a lot of pressure because like she was the Disney princess, and kind of like I loved what Tracy said, how, you know, it was cool to read and to want more and to dream, and, you know, she was very grounded. I loved that about her. So as an actor, I really wanted to make sure that I was grounded as this Disney princess. I didn't want to be the Disney princess with, even though like birds flying around her head, like that sort of thing. Like it was important to have a full, well-rounded character playing a Disney princess. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah. So not be the caricature of a Disney princess. So it was a lot of pressure.
And Ellen, for you, does the script for that role support an actor? I mean, my memory is that it's well written, but you tell me from your perspective.
Well, it's not just the script though. What I remember about that role also is there's an incredible amount of underscoring, which is music underneath text. And so that in a way, it was really informative too, I found, because there was always the music underneath that was adding so much mood to the scene. But it was also really challenging because you had that set amount of time every night to get in, sometimes a lot of lines. So I can remember Jonathan, my beast, and I having to really be aware of the underscoring, especially at first, till we got it into our bodies. But yeah.
Yeah, there is Jonathan, your beast. So you've all had amazing, I was going to say co-stars, but I'm going to say you've all had amazing beasts, I'm sure. Is there and you're playing this iconic role, the guy you're playing opposite in the supporting role of the beast is covered in latex usually, or a mask and fur. And I'm going to guess from my experience of these guys, they're probably quite sweaty. George Maswell, you can tell us what it was like under there. In your own show, we'll give you your own special. But what kind of bond develops between you and your beast? And does it carry on years later? Karen, what about you? You've had so many beasts.
I know, but one in particular, Marcus Nance. Oh, I love Marcus Nance, and I didn't care how sweaty he was. He's just the most handsome guy in the world. And it's funny, I have a son named Marcus, and I didn't think I named him after anybody, but years later I was like, I think subconsciously I actually named him after Marcus Nance.
But the question, okay, do I have a picture of the, you sent me a few pictures. With apologies to the other beasts who are not Marcus, and she hasn't named children after. Is that him?
That's David Ludwig there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And who's this one?
That's Marcus Nance. Oh, the prosthetics on this was amazing. That was the Grand Theatre in London.
Yeah, I have to say that I've seen a lot of beasts. I've seen a lot of photos of beasts. And out of all of them, and no disrespect to any designer anywhere, but that was the most interesting because there's less, but it also appears like more. So that must have been cool to work with. It certainly, I mean, there's a huge difference between playing with the sort of cartoonness of that. So, all right. What was it like, Vanessa? As a young Black woman playing a Disney princess and getting that opportunity. We've had some experience. Yeah, we've had some experience recently at Neptune where Samantha Walks played Cinderella, and she's talked about that a lot and what it meant to her and to the community here in Nova Scotia. But was that? I don't know the timeline of how long ago you played that role, but was it a big thing for you too?
Yeah, it was like, without getting too much into like my personal background, but essentially I grew up in a very small town that was, there were 2 Black families. That was it. So it's like I didn't really identify as like a Black woman growing up. I was just Vanessa because there wasn't a Black community to be a part of that was like, oh, that's the Black community. I was just like, no, I'm just Vanessa. It wasn't until I was older and I was left that small town that I was like, oh, I'm Black. And that to some people was a bad thing. But Belle was one of the first times where I remember being cast and being like ecstatic and also just so scared because my initial reaction was like, but I can't play Belle. I don't look like Belle.
Right.
People aren't going to want to, they're not going to see that. It doesn't make sense. And that was like one of, actually, when I think of it, that was one of my first like real experiences of like that, the fear of race affecting casting. I played like My Fair Lady before, and I was like, Eliza can be whatever. But there's something different about an iconic Disney princess. Like little girls and little boys are in the audience with the dress on. Like there is an image, there is a sound, there is something that is already so there. And then, but then you get moments like that, and you're like, they don't care. They just want to be the princess.
Yeah, absolutely. And the role takes over, and I know that Samantha, I think I won't speak for her at all. I would never do that, but I watched her experiencing the same kind of moments as this, where the children, bless them, just see Belle.
Yeah.
just see Belle. And for some reason, now that it's summer, I've discovered that I have a co-host today. A giant fly is flying around my head. So if in the middle of a sentence I do this, you know why. So, all right. I want to come back in a second and ask you if anything ever went wrong while you were playing Belle. I don't mean dangerously, sadly wrong, but just, was there a moment that sticks out as a bit of a moment theatrically? While you're thinking about that, we're just gonna. I asked all of our Belles to whether the role carries on once you leave the stage at the end of a performance.
I really tried to stay within that Belle world of kindness and acceptance.
100%, because when you go through that stage door, there are kids who have maybe never seen a show before, and they really truly think that you are Belle.
When I played Belle, we would head out to the lobby after the show, and I just remember I would be in my yellow dress, and I had the privilege of meeting so many Belles.
This is both yes and no. Being this Disney princess and, doe-eyed, and then I'd go off to the green room in intermission in the blue rags dress, sit on the floor eating potato chips. Also yes, because one of my favorite things about performing in the show is every night after the show, I would run out immediately after bows and do a meet and greet with the audience. And
I definitely carried the role with me when I was off stage. I felt that Belle, her character, actually taught me a lot of things, especially how she sees the world and her outlook on life.
I think I did have to continue on as Belle when I was backstage, just because she is so demanding, and it is 2.5 hours.
No. Well, two things. One is there's a sketch, a Sesame Street thing with somebody reading a book, and there's construction work and all these things are happening, and the person keeps reading, and that's sort of in the opening number. That still continues on to this day. I was on the tour and I was a cover for Belle, so I will say I was the dustpan and broom most days, and that did not.
When I played Belle, I was 16, so I can't say that her grace and patience followed me off the stage.
And so there are very specific duties for playing Belle on stage in the shows, and there are very specific duties for being Belle off stage. And my specific duties pertained to being on stage. And so
the role had to carry on off stage mostly through the incredibly fast, quick changes, which I tried to stay like in the story.
I see myself as fairly similar to Belle, so I don't think I intentionally tried to keep the character going off stage, but maybe some Belle-isms slipped in.
As I was watching that and seeing that, a huge range of performers, a lot of whom I've managed to see perform in other shows, I was wondering, is there a common factor that links you all together as a performer? Is there a certain quality to you as a human being that means you're right to play Belle? That's a big question, isn't it?
I wonder if it might be a little more like I have this experience when I talk to other Anne of Green Gables people, and they say, I think everybody feels a little bit like they're Anne of Green Gables, and I think Belle might be a character like that a little bit, where a lot of people can relate to her on some level.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I know that there's only really one Cogsworth.
Just Jeremy Webb.
Right?
Yeah.
What I've noticed, though, is sometimes productions of this show happen, and I don't even get a call.
It's weird.
It's very weird.
Imagine why.
I don't know.
I do love all the mentions of the meet and greets after, though. That seems to be a real common theme to productions of this show, and it was a magical time indeed.
Yeah, when those kids come running towards you and wrap themselves around your leg and you are Belle.
Yeah. Yeah, I often compared it to people to the feeling of being Santa Claus.
Oh,
yeah, I felt like I was Santa Claus in that dress.
I wonder whether you could actually set yourself up in a booth in a mall if you're out of work. Dressed as Belle.
In the Belle costume. Is that a COVID-19 job?
Yeah. A digital chat with Belle.
Yeah. Well, a lot of Disney Princess Party companies are doing stuff like that.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? They're doing messages and getting in touch. All right. Anything ever go wrong that you can tell me about?
I remember we had one of my dearest friends, Pat Holke, and she was like one of the townspeople, and she was just the loveliest woman. And she, one day, like we had like our well in the middle of the town, and Belle walks around and then she sits down and, oh, isn't this amazing? And she was always like doing the most behind the main action. And one day she fully, like, I don't know what happened, she fell over on stage and all of the townspeople had to like rush over and help her back to her feet. And the big going, da, 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 da.
Oh no.
Amazing.
I remember our cast, Jeremy, in Halifax. We all clicked. Like, we partied so hard.
I don't know what you mean.
Are there young kids watching this right now? Like, we were, yes. Like, we drank so much.
I think you're holding some kind of square there.
I don't know. Well, we had so many parties.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I should share this. Oh, look at George and I. Oh my God.
Baby.
George.
We became such amazing friends on that show. I love him. I just adore him. And we ended up doing like a little night music right after that, which was just awesome. But I don't know if I should share this story.
Share it.
This is kind of in the vault, and my friend Mark Ure and I laugh about this all the time because I remember sharing this story with him because we met for the first time doing a little night music the season of Shaw. So we partied a lot during that Beauty and the Beast run. And there was one night we were out and doing a lot of Jägermeister and a lot of tequila. And I remember being in the blue dress, getting ready for places. And I was going to be sick. And I knew I was going to be sick. And I was like, yeah, it was probably, but almost every night was like that, you guys. Like, and I was like, okay, I got this. And then I remember being like, whew, like I was going to vomit. And I was in the blue dress, ready to go on Little Town. And I was like, guys, I got to go. Bleh. Oh, and then literally ran up the stairs. Yeah. Like, Little Town. Like it was, and that was the run of the show for us. It was awesome.
For some of you, I didn't participate in that at all.
Oh, please.
I always went home before Julie Martell, who often was leading a group of the ensemble and anyone that would follow to Casino Nova Scotia. And notice how she's not even disagreeing with me because
it was insane. But there was a handful of us, and you were one of them. It was you, it was Tori Doctor, it was George Maswell, it was Ray Jean, it was myself, Carla Bennett. Yeah, I'm calling you out, Carla.
Carla Bennett, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot.
I have a very have had that same experience.
Surprise, Karen.
Maybe that happened. I also had a funny thing that happened. So funny. So you guys know the cheese grater dance number section? It's the cheese grater is like this amazing, brilliant ballet dancer, and he's got this incredibly long dance solo. One day, Scotty McDonald come out for his dance solo, and Julius Thermonia was the rug and our dance captain, and he just stood in the wings, laughing his head off, going, "What is Karen gonna do?" Because I was on stage. For 50,000 counts of 8.
Oh,
so
no.
I did fan kicks and paddle turns for probably 45 seconds.
Yes.
Queen.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's worth noting that I've worked with two of you, I guess, and Ellen Denny is probably, she takes it the most seriously. She's a bit of a, she has a method, and she doesn't fool around backstage. She is in the role. You have to call her Belle backstage the whole time. You're not allowed to look her in the eye.
Right.
And there's even videotape that we've managed to unearth. So, Julie, you're going to get covered by this tape. So you're the only one that can reach for a drink right now. Hold on.
She's so serious.
See?
Every night they stood there and tried to do something to me as I did that crossover and tried to make me laugh and I don't even remember what switch that was, but for whatever reason I was going into some scene where I kind of needed to be like in the zone. And so I would always ignore them. And so they finally filmed me so they could show me how serious and boring I was backstage. But I do remember a lot of mishaps through that run. I mean, we had a long run of it. I know the first Neptune run was also very long. And I used to, during the transformation, when the beast costume was coming off mid-air as he was upside down and spinning, like just craziness, I referred to it as the Beast Olympics because there was costume pieces flying off and there was fog. And I think part of my job was to try to reach and get the beast head. Or maybe it wasn't my job, but one night it became clear it was in the wrong spot. And so I had to like lunge underneath Jonathan through the fog and grab the head and like chuck it off. It was very dramatic. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're on stage and the kids are like, Mummy, why did Belle just rip the beast's head off?
Because I'm supposed to be like back here in awe of it, but instead I'm like, no. The head, he's gonna crush his own head. Yeah.
Wasn't there one night where the head piece, as it came off, it fell off and went down below onto the deck?
Yeah, and it was, I couldn't get it.
And then somebody had to kick it off when the lights came up.
Reached out, our wonderful stagehand reached out and grabbed it. Yeah.
Wow.
Never a dull moment on this show.
No.
Live theater, guys. It's the best.
Live theater. All right, let's take another look here. I want to make sure I get the right one. Here we go. I asked the Belles about the admirable characteristics of this person, of the character that they play.
Belle is unapologetically herself. She is intelligent, she is independent, she is strong.
She's just so brave and courageous. She's selfless. What she does for her father is really so brave.
Her curiosity.
I love that she's always trying to learn and grow and change. I love that she's vulnerable.
Her courage, her compassion, her open-mindedness. But my personal favorite is her imagination and how she's always looking for adventure.
Just her determination and her ability to continue on and fight for the things she wants.
Belle is intelligent and she's resilient and powerful, and I find that really admirable. But also, she's kind. And even though people aren't kind to her often, she goes through so much adversity in that show. And she's not afraid to stand up for herself, but she's never rude back.
Her bravery.
She loves to read and she loves adventure, and she is not one that is going to settle.
I think one of Belle's most admirable characteristics is her ability and willingness to listen.
I love that she is loyal. She is loyal to her father, and that she's smart, and that she has a yearning.
Yeah, a yearning. That kind of sets her apart, really, because she knows there's something better out there and she chases it, but doesn't set aside her family for that, and she goes back to help her dad. What was it like for you all having these stage dads? Was that a wonderful experience? I got to play that role once, and it was Ashley Taylor was my Belle, and I couldn't track it down for this, which is a shame. But Ashley, if you're out there, hi, I miss you. But tell us about your stage dads and those scenes at the beginning and getting to do that sweet, sweet song off the top of the show. What's that like?
Oh, I'm still so close with my dear Sam Rosenthal.
Oh.
Yeah, we had a real bond. Like, we still refer to each other as Papa and daughter, stuff when we email. I mean, I love all my stage dads, but I think because that relationship is so sweet in the show, it's been an extra sweet one off stage. And we bawled like babies through that final show. It made no sense to the audience because we just cried through that first song. And there was no reason to be. There was no reason to be crying, but we were very emotional. It was ending. So yeah.
I can't remember. You alluded to it earlier. I remember the first time Neptune did it. It was the longest running show, I think, in Neptune's history, like 129 performances. And then the second time didn't quite get there, but was just as popular. Karen, you've probably done thousands. I'm going to guess anyway. Certainly hundreds and hundreds, or what about you've had a few stage dads as well?
I have, yes. Sandy Winsby, which I still call Papa. I mean, she's so wonderful. And Terry Doyle, the late Terry Doyle. It was just the absolute best. Who can I share it all, Jeremy?
Oh yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So Terry Doyle was he played Maurice in the Toronto production, and as well he was our incredible Maurice, and it was our opening night, and he was the kind of actor when he biked out on stage, he got a standing ovation just because of who he was. And that night during our song, the very last notes of the song, he took a massive heart attack and passed away in my arms on stage in front of 800 people, including his wife. And it was a beautiful way to go, doing what you love, but pretty tragic too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you and I have ever spoken about that, but certainly I'd heard that story.
Yeah, me too.
And thought about. I must admit, when I played the role, and I think when I did it the most recent time, I often thought about him. I didn't know him, but I thought about that moment and thought, well, you know what? What you just said, you're right. Going quickly like that in the middle of a show, whilst it's painful for the people around, is an amazing way to go as an artist, but tragic. Was that
genius? And his wife actually said at his funeral, to try to make some comedy out of it, she said, he died in the bosom of a princess.
Was that the last time you played the role, or was that sort of in the middle somewhere?
That was one of the first times.
Oh wow.
The very first production that we did with Drayton Entertainment, and then we still had about another 8 months to go with that. So
they brought someone else in, or there was an understudy, and then you carried on. I can't imagine the heartache and the strength that it takes to turn up whenever the show kicked off again, whenever it sort of worked its way back to performing again. What it took for the cast to gather together to do it. It must have been incredibly moving. I mean, it's already a moving show.
It was, yeah. And I have to say, Alex Moustakis, who was our director, and Terry was like a father to him, so he was crushed. He was so brilliant about how he brought us back to the stage. We took a day or two to but he just basically closed the theater off and said, let's just keep running the song until nobody's crying anymore.
That's great.
Right. Yeah, it's clever. Alex is a good man. What about you, Julie?
Oh gosh.
Your Papa Hank Stinson.
Yeah, we had such, it was such a magical time, and it was a magical show, and Hank was so lovely, and he had been at Charlottetown for so many years, and he just had he was just such a papa. Like there was no acting required with him. It was so genuine. And
he goes out drinking too, look.
Oh, yeah, we all did. But yeah, I think it was kind of I don't know if the other women have felt that, but so much of this show probably because of the music and the underscore, as Ellen said, and the book, it was really just kind of there on the plate for you. Like less was more with it. And you showed up and it was really well cast and it was just such a joy.
George has just dropped in there.
Yeah.
He was.
There's another comment here. This is a long one. I remember opening night of the 2017 production when the Beast invites Belle to the library. There's a line like, "Oh, a library with the keys and buildings and magic problems." The flat didn't come in for a solid 30 seconds.
Yes, I remember that as well.
I remember that.
Oh, so good.
And you know, the funny thing is that we're watching you two, Ryan Brown and I, who played Lumiere, and I play Cogsworth. We were standing at the side of the stage, and we watched you walk around, and the flat's supposed to come in, showing this amazing library set, which, you know, was okay, and then it didn't arrive. And I remember whispering to Ryan, or we whispered at each other at the same time, "Well, you screwed that up." Because it was our job to get the library ready, right? In the show, itself. Like, we were like, "Oh, we fucked that up, didn't we?" So you know, we took the blame.
Oh dear.
Amazing. We got back to horror stories. Vanessa, how was your papa?
My papa was lovely. One of the really nice things about playing Belle so young was that like he actually was around my dad's age. So it wasn't this thing, you know, sometimes theater is weird and what you see on the stage is not actually the reality. You know, you might have someone who's actually very close in age to someone that's supposed to be playing, you know, a father figure. And for me, it was like, as you said, Julie, like everything in that show was just already there for you. You don't really have to work at it. You don't really have to try. And it was, I mean, you should try, but it's very easy to do. And yeah, it was just really natural and easy. And he was a dad and he, you know, already had like all of his theater babies. And it was just really easy to make it happen. There was no effort involved. It was very natural.
So Vanessa, you did this very early on in your career, you know, at the sort of the formative time when you were
career.
And then did you go to Sheridan? Where did you train?
Yeah, I went to Sheridan College.
Okay, cool. And then so Belle was at the beginning really of your formative career time.
Belle was the first time that I learned you could study theater.
Yeah.
Like I legitimately didn't know that. There was a young man in the cast who was going to go to Ryerson, and he was talking about auditioning for Ryerson, and I was like, auditioning for a school to act? What are you? Like, it blew my world up, and in the best way possible.
So tell us briefly, just give us a little tour guide through what's happened since then, because you obviously worked a lot recently in some big theaters.
Very lucky.
Wow, no, you've worked, but tell us about that, so that we can then say thank you to the director of that production of Beauty and the Beast that cast you in that role.
Karen, I love you forever. Yeah, I went to, well, it was funny actually. I did Beauty and the Beast with Streetlight Theater Company, which is the community theater. And then the next year they did West Side Story. And that was, you know, like this whole other level of like, you were a Disney princess and now you're doing this like other incredible, huge thing. And that was when I was like, oh, okay, like this is legit. Like, this is what I want to do. I'm so obsessed. And then I went to Sheridan College. I like couldn't believe that I got in, and it was not my plan at all. I was on a very, very different path. And bless my mom, she said, you know, well, you can always go back and do the sciences. You can't always go back and get that audition. You know, if you try again in 5 years, you might not get it. So why not go for it? So I graduated Sheridan, and my first show was Kinky Boots with Mervish, which was like a hell of a first show. Yeah. Boom, you're in the industry. Oh, Hopper, what's up?
No, I actually did a little Facebook stalking of you all today, and the picture of Cyndi Lauper jumped out at me, and I was like, I've got to bring that on the show.
Pretty wild. She's a lovely lady. Yeah. Yeah, so that was my first ever show. So that was amazing, just in terms of like, it's amazing. You get to do a Mervish show. You get to do a Canadian premiere. You get to play like an actual part. It was beyond my expectations. And I had a lot of really lovely people who were established in the theater community who said, you know, don't get used to this. This isn't normal. Not every show is a Mervish show. So like, keep your ego in check and like live. Yeah, it was amazing. And then I think after that I did Wizard of Oz with YPT. I played Dorothy. And then baby Dorothy.
You were so delicious. I saw that. Well, saw Kinky Boots too, of course, but yes, so good.
She was a beauty bopper. And then I think I did Drayton, and then I did work at the Citadel. We did $1 Million Quartet, and then I did 2 seasons of the Shaw Festival, and then I did Mary Poppins with YPT, and I got to go back, and I was like, oh, I feel like I know what I'm doing now. I'm not like at school and like terrified. I'm still terrified, but you know, I hide it better now. And then this past year, I did my first season at Stratford, so I have been very, very lucky.
Well, yeah, I think actors, now that I'm not an actor anymore, I can say this to you all. I think actors often say, "Oh, I've been very lucky," and they sort of it's very sweet and it's humble. But I know, because I know the 4 of you, you've worked your butts off. I mean, like, you work hard to be where you are and to play these roles and to take these iconic roles. It's not easy, and when you see people getting surprised at how, when they don't quite do it as well, you know, you see that those of you that are playing these roles and doing them so well, it's a lot of work. We asked all of our Belles what was their favorite scene in the show. I'm sure they all said any scene with the clock, but let's find out.
Maybe a bit strange, but it was the mob scene when they come for Maurice. There was a moment, and it was so exciting and terrifying at the same time. It was between myself and Monsieur Dark, just in the background. It was about Gaston and them in the middle, but we were just on either side. And my friend Greg, who we're still friends to this day, we just locked eyes, and he gave me this terrifying look with this drawn-on mustache. And we locked eyes, and I just, shoulders back, just took this breath in like I was gonna say, "Come at me, bro," and it was terrifying.
The opening number, 100%. It's just so fun having everybody on the stage together.
I can't pick a favorite scene. I just loved it all.
The scene with Belle and her father, that beautiful moment.
The scene leading into Be Our Guest and the song itself, because of how magical and fun it was.
Right after the beast has saved Belle from the wolves in the forest, she's sort of mending his wound, and they have this banter, and she's just fighting back a little more than she did in Act 1. And I think you kind of start to see this flirtation.
I was getting to sing Change in Me, because that song means a lot to me, and it's a really special moment between Belle and her father, and I'm very close with my dad, so I felt it was very easy to connect.
My favorite number in the show was Be Our Guest, because like, who doesn't love a kick line and dancing cutlery? But I think my favorite scene in the show was teaching the beast to read.
Favorite scene for me was doing the physical comedy with Gaston, and just sort of playing the straight man in that number. I loved it. I mean, I loved all the songs, but that was my favorite scene.
Doing the scenes from Belle, the song Belle, the opening number. I think that number is one of the best opening numbers, not only in Disney but in most musical theater.
I think it would have to be the entrance in the ball gown. It's just the cello sound before the entrance, and then walking out and hearing the gasps in reaction to the costume was so thrilling, and getting to do that beautiful waltz scene with my beloved Jonathan Winsby was pure magic.
Pure magic. I want to thank all the other Belles as well that have been in touch and did those interviews, and we applaud them all. Yeah, Julie. Who doesn't love a kick line? I mean, come on. Like, look at that. One thing I hate about this photo is I realized that George, who directed it very well, stuck me right at the back there behind that freaking champagne bottle. I got that squirt of fire extinguisher, whatever it was, in the head every single night. And I'm sure he did that on purpose. There we go.
There was very few options, I felt like, where the enchanted people could fit.
Yes.
There was just, Neptune, it's a heritage theater. It's got some small, tight corners, and none of you could enter stage right because your costumes wouldn't physically fit.
Yeah, but look, I mean, if you're going to talk about wide berth, Denny.
I know. My last entrance, I had that dress hiked up to my chin, and at the last second, and I swear some people saw, I would have to drop it and enter.
Yeah, I've seen the letters in the Neptune archive.
Dear
Neptune Theatre,
as George would say.
Dear Neptune Theatre, I just want to complain about Ellen Denny's Belle, which I saw.
But the thing with musicals is you have 18 layers underneath. You've got tights and mic belts, and so it's not actually that exciting.
I just want to check in with the comments before we start to wrap this up. Amanda Campbell is correct.
Hello, Amanda.
Everybody knows George is gone. He's not watching till the end, but I'm sure he'll catch the recording of it.
George.
He's put a whole bunch of comments on there, Julie, so you can look at those after the show. Some of them are not for public consumption. And now I've just lost the ability to turn that comment off from George. There we go. So we just mentioned the size of that dress, Ellen. I sort of want to start to wrap it up now, but the dress. I mean, you're getting to play this iconic role, and yes, you're imbuing her with power and a sense of worth, and making her own decisions, and saving her dad, and choosing who to love, and all this stuff. But you still get to wear a really gorgeous, gigantic ball gown. So did you all say yes to the dress? I mean, were you yes dress people? Did you love it?
Shopping for my wedding dress a bit anticlimactic, if I'm being perfect.
Really?
Yeah, no joke.
It's a hell of a dress.
Ship one for sure. That's epic. Epic. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Vanessa? Do you still remember?
I think some of the costumes were made, and I think our dress was one of the few that was rented. And
Right.
I remember the first time I got to try it on, I was like, "It's happening! I'm a princess!" It's very surreal.
I did not, I have to say, I'm not a Disney person, and I didn't grow up a Disney person. And I just fell for the whole thing, hook, line, and sinker. When I got the dress on, the blue dress as well, I had a very emotional reaction to getting the blue dress on as well. It's so iconic. And every time it had an impact on me. And every time the audience reaction was also so audible. And that's huge props to Helena, of course.
Oh yeah. Helena and the whole crew at Neptune. Wow. They did such good work on that show.
Yeah, they did both times. Yeah.
Can't imagine.
Yeah.
Did anybody else get zipped in by accident in one of the quick changes to the dress?
Oh no.
Really? You did?
Oh no. No, but for my our last two performances, our Beast understudy, the amazing David Light, fearless, went on after it'd been 2 months since he'd had an understudy run. It was insane. He went on with a couple hours notice, and we were having some struggles with that ball gown. We'd never run the dance, and we got out there in that costume, and it's you can know the moves, but once you're contending with that enormous of a teacup around your dance partner, it was a moment to remember for sure.
My anxiety into that dress was so real. It's such a quick change. I remember we had a wig change as well, and it was the wig that was always kind of because the dress was going to get on. You might not have as much time as you liked, but you were going to get into the dress. But if the dress took extra time, it was the wig that suffered to go on and you were like, okay, I guess this is good today.
Totally.
It was
We asked all of you, this is a quick last question. We asked all of the Belles what you believed the most iconic line of Belle's is. And this is what all of our Belles said.
Take me instead.
I want much more than this provincial life. just so epic. Also, he's not the monster Gaston, you are!
Little town, it's a quiet village, every day, like the one before.
Probably my favorite line to sing in the show, and I also thought it was so relevant right now during COVID, is the line, build higher walls around me, change every lock and key, nothing lasts, nothing holds all of me, my heart's far, far away, home and free.
Show me the beast, because it is a turning point in the show, and it's just a line that I remember. So.
He's not the monster Gaston, you are. That line is just so fun, so fiery, and I think it really is the whole story and the moral of Beauty and the Beast.
Like, it would have to be, I love you, the way that she says it at the end. That, of course, you know, makes the spell break. But I think that the most iconic Belle line is when she's in that Belle overture, when she's in the booksellers. She's at her bookseller's place, and she says, "Oh, it's my favorite. Far off places, daring sword fights, magic spells, a prince in disguise."
He's not the monster Gaston, you are.
You monster. I mean, come on. That's the one.
I think one of Belle's most iconic lines is when the Beast reveals the library to her, and she says, "I can't believe it. I've never seen so many books in all my life."
I want adventure in the great wide somewhere.
Okay, so that just proved that she has a lot of iconic lines.
Yes. So
But-
awesome.
Yeah. He's not the beast, Gaston. You are. I love that.
Good one.
Amazing. Amazing.
I can still hear like exactly like the original Disney cartoon. Like I can hear the way it's said in the movie anytime, no matter the line. I know exactly like the inflection of it. It's wild.
Absolutely. I just want to pause for a second and thank Support for Culture for their ongoing support of this initiative of Off the Leash, and for doing some amazing work in our community and supporting us. So thank you to them. They've just signed on to keep supporting the show for a little while longer. So thank you. It means I'm going to be in my basement for another month. Although we are taking a week off next week, and we are going to rerun some past episodes, because now we're already at the point when we can syndicate, like Friends. It's like, I don't know. Except because there's no money exchanging hands, there's no residuals. So don't get excited, anyone. I want to thank you all for being here today. It's so lovely to see you all and have you visit. I hope that I get to see you all soon again, or for the first time in some cases at Neptune. I will endeavor to make that happen. But it's so great to have you here, and thanks for spending your evening with us chatting about Belle. I hope you had a good time.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having us.
It's awesome.
Nice to see you, ladies, and hear your stories.
What a treat.
So, folks, thanks for you four. Just stay exactly where you are while we play out. Want to thank you for watching. Tomorrow night we have Ed Thomason, T. Thomason, and Shelley Thompson, who are a family, all isolated together and still being creative, a creative family. It's going to be fun to talk to them tomorrow evening at 8:30. Like I say, next week there are no new shows, which I'm taking a week off. But then there will be a whole slate of guests. I've already booked them for the couple of weeks after that, and we'll just keep going while people keep watching. So thanks for being here. I do just want to show this briefly, only a little bit of it. I'll cut it off. It's a very exciting edition of the Cogsworth Minute, because today we're joined by, do I need to tell you?
Oh, Elle and Denny.
And you play?
Belle.
As if we didn't know.
We're in the middle of a show.
We're in the middle of a show. I'm about to go on and do a scene, but we're going to try and squeeze this minute in.
Yes.
So you're playing Belle. I'm not going to show the whole interview.
That's
I'll post
so
it.
fun. That brings
post
me back.
But yeah, we shot, I think I did one of those with pretty much every single cast member backstage during the show. with the theater's permission, just to promote the show, and I just had to bring that little clip up because there we were. There you were being adorable, and there I was being kind of weird. I have to say that show, that production of Beauty and the Beast, was the first show that my eldest child ever saw me in.
Yeah.
And it was a very moving experience for that reason. He was there on opening night. And there we have photos of him coming backstage and meeting Ellen Denny, who was adorable, kind of stayed in the dress, kind of stayed in character. And we've got a photo of him. He was shaking and he hugged you like a full-on hug. And it was just heart-numbingly wonderful. And then you very kindly sent, I asked you to, as a favor, to record a video message for a couple of his cousins. Actually, may have just been the one cousin at that point. Anyway, and you did that. And that video message apparently is still retained and played constantly of you saying, "Hi, Charlie. It's Belle, just saying hello, happy birthday." Or there was some event. I can't remember.
I could have started a full side business for the amount of requests I got of that nature.
This is what I think you all should do right now: is get one of those dresses and video messages. Julie, let me just ask you: should there be a sequel to Beauty and the Beast, and what would Belle be doing? I forgot to ask that earlier, and I really want to ask that question, and then I'm going to send you all home.
Oh gosh. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think there should be. That's just my opinion.
It wrapped up well.
It did wrap up well.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you soon. You four stay exactly where you are.